Juicing is something that everyone should do every day. It's really a non-negotiable in this world at this time. There's a lot of talk around dense nutritional value and what constitutes dense nutritional substance. Well, there's nothing more densely nutritious than very dark greens and in their juiced state. Let me explain why. A few things. First of all, we know that leafy greens, this color, this green, comes from sunlight. It's chlorophyll, synthesized sunlight. So you're literally eating the life force. We wouldn't have life without the sun. The sun is the center of we have a solar system. Our system goes around the sun. Everything is sun-centric. It's because the sun is our generator and regenerator. So when you're eating these leafy greens, you're eating sunlight. There's nothing more nourishing than that. It's also carrying in the intelligence from the cosmos. So it's not just about the amino acids and the minerals. It's about something far richer, more dynamic than we can even fathom. Okay, that's number one. Number two is, look at the size of this bowl. Now, when I juice this, and I juice this is sort of my daily juice. Okay, we've got Tuscan kale here, and flat leaf kale, and rocket arugula in America, and I've got 2 cucumbers, lemon, ginger, and I love fresh chilies. I'll probably use about maybe 5 or 6 of these chilies. I won't use all of them, but I'll use quite a few. So somewhere between half of this and this entirety here is what I personally would juice on a daily basis. If you're juice fasting, you would have this and more. But what I want to draw your attention to is that if you were to try to sit down and eat this, it would take a long time, and it would take a lot of chewing because this dense kale and all this takes a lot of chewing. Now, it's not only would it be very time consuming, but because there's so much fiber, it would take a lot for the body to break down and eliminate. Now, fiber is celebrated in the health community, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any fiber, but there's a time for fiber and there's a time for no fiber. And your juicing time is a time for no fiber. The time for fiber is when you're sitting down and having your raw salads. That's the fiber, that's enough fiber in your day. The reason fiber is so focused on is because the average diet is devoid of fiber. If you're eating starch and meat, which is what most people eat all day long, starch and meat in various forms, you're not getting any fiber. Starch, meat, and milk, let's say, in various forms, there's no fiber. So in a diet devoid of fiber, obviously there's a need for fiber. In a diet with adequate fiber, there's not a need for excessive amounts of fiber. So that's really important to understand. So juicing is a time we want to separate the fiber out so that we can get the maximal nutritional value in a concentrated form, take it down with no digestion required at all, and get that maximal nutrient nourishment. So the other thing is, if you wanted to blend this, you're going to still get all the fiber, which again, it's too much fiber. It's too much for the body to break down. And in breaking it down, you're not going to get the full effect of the life force going straight to cellular level like a blood transfusion, like you get when you're juicing. So it's very, very important not to think that juicing and blending are the same thing, and not to put blending where juicing should be. Juicing is non-negotiable. Blending is just an extra. You don't have to blend. You don't have to have blend meals, smoothies. We do have to have juice. So we really have to have a major point of differentiation there. So this is going to condense down into about 32 ounces, and you're going to be getting your full nourishment for the day. Don't think that if you're having a blended juice, you're getting the value you'd be getting from a fresh, raw vegetable juice. Fresh, extracted vegetable juice is what we're after. So we want to make sure that we are able to, in a proper juicer, you're going to, the fiber is going to go out one hole, and the juice is going to come out the other hole, and you want to have the juice, and you can use the fiber for compost, you can use it for anything you want. You can make, in fact, you can make a delicious, if you're clever and you use the right spices, you can make a delicious mock tuna or various pâtés out of your juice pulp. But your juice pulp is not for your juice. Your juice is just to be juice. All right, so next thing you want to know about juice is that we don't want to have fruit-centric juices or sweet vegetables in the juice. We can, and very beginner people can, and when you're juice fasting, there's a time for a little bit of fruit juice in the juices, and or the sweet vegetables like carrots and beets. But by and large, if you're serious about getting the maximal life force, along with eradicating pathogens and making sure that your body's really upgrading, you want to do a very, what I call clean green juice. So I have a name for it in my books. It's called green lemonade. I call it that because it actually, with the lemon and a little bit of stevia and the ginger, it tastes like lemonade. It just happens to be green. But the clean green centric juice, that basically means that you're using dark leafy greens. And remember that the very dark leafy greens are not going to yield a lot of liquid. So when you put a whole bunch of kale through the juicer, you're going to get maybe an ounce, half an ounce of kale juice. But don't let that worry you, because it's very concentrated, it's very valuable. The moment you put the cucumber or celery stalks through the juicer, the volume is going to increase. It's going to take that kale and make it a lot more quantifiable. So we add the cucumbers, or you can use celery if you like, to add that volume. And then lemon, ginger for taste, and if you want, if you love the qualities of ginger for their anti-inflammation value and those things, that's great too. But I basically just use it for taste, because I love the way the ginger tastes in the juice. And I like to add the chilies, but that's only for people who like it spicy. Some like it hot. I like it hot, and especially in winter. So the ginger and the chilies will really help generate heat in the body in winter, which is great because the juice will always cool the body. If you feel a little bit cooler after you have your juice, it's because the juice is very, very yin, and yin is cooling. It's the female polarity, which is like the moon, which is the nighttime, which is cooling. So, but it's also enables your, the cooling is also the centripetal, which is regenerative. So it's conservation of energy. So your temperature might drop a bit, but just know that it will be restored very quickly after, and it's just because it's very yin. And the medicinal plants are yin. Alkalinity is yin. So this is a good thing to have the yin. So the dark leafy greens will go through the juicer. Then then you'll have the component of the greens that will create volume or donate volume, and that's your cucumber and celery. And then the lemon, ginger. The lemon will also add volume because the lemon juice, so a lot of juice in here. I use the whole lemon, and I also just note that when you're juicing your lemons, you don't have to take the peel off. The rind tastes great in the juice. There's no need to take it off unless the juicer can't handle it, which my juicer can handle it, so it's not an issue. If you want a little sweetness, I suggest adding a few drops of liquid stevia. I find that people tend to love the juice without any sweetness. I personally like a little stevia, but I like a little stevia on everything, so that's just me. But do what suits you, basically. If you need to get somebody into juicing who's never juiced before and you don't think they're going to love the clean green version, then for them, add a couple of carrots, add a couple of beets. If you do put the beets in, it's going to turn red. It's going to make your eliminations red, so you got to warn somebody you're giving that to, that they're not, having some sort of hemorrhaging the next day, that it's just from the beets. And you could alternatively add a green apple, a pear, something to give a natural sweetness to the juice, if you like. But the hardcore juicers out there want to have a clean green juice, just like this. If there's sweetness, it's just from a pure stevia. There are lots of stevias out there in the market now. A lot of them are not pure. The more the stevia trend is picked up, the more things have been tampered with. So make sure that your stevia is pure. If you're in doubt, you can grow your own stevia. It's not hard to grow. It looks like mint. They're little leaves, and they're just sweet leaves. They're amazing. Or you can just buy the green leaf powder. But there are plenty of good brands out there. New Naturals is a good brand, and New Naturals in America is a local brand I use here. This is the brand I use here in South Africa. It's called Health Connections Whole Foods. So, so basically this will go through the juicer. You want to have a juicer that can manage your juice easily, because if there are a lot of schools of thought around juicing, around how to choose a juicer. I believe your juicer needs to be expedient and cold pressing, and that's what the Breville has come up with. So the new Breville cold fountain juicer is the one I use here at home. I've used twin blade masticating juicers over the years. The only problem is they take so long to make. It's fine for people who are really concerned about making sure that the integrity of their juice is intact, and if they want their juice to stay high vibration for several hours. If you're going to drink your juice right away, and if you know that you just don't have the time to fuss around, but you want to make your juice, I highly recommend just using this Breville. And I love that they have created a cold press model. So that's what works in my household. And even though there are lots of companies out there that will juice for you and deliver to you, I want to stress how valuable it is to make your own juice. Depending on your lifestyle, it might make sense for you to have your juices delivered. I know when I was living in New York, I had the juice press right there, which is my favorite juice company in New York. And it was great. It was convenient. But now that I'm not living, in an apartment, the apartment living and the busyness of the city kind of lends itself to that. But living in a house now and having space around, there's something really grounding, and it's a wonderful ritual I do every day myself, for myself, make my juice. So I encourage you. It definitely puts you in contact with your vegetables, brings you close. A lot of people say, we'll ask about how to clean them and everything. First of all, if you're getting organic vegetables, which you should be, you really don't want to juice inorganic vegetables non-organic vegetables, because non-organic vegetables will have things on them and in them and from the soil and in the spraying that you don't want in concentrated form. So juice is going to make everything concentrated. So this is a time, if there ever is a time for you to have organic vegetables, to juice organic vegetables. In terms of washing them, don't make a big fuss. If they're organic, I don't bother washing them, frankly, because they've got a little bit of soil. I don't stress. I've never gotten sick. I've only gotten healthier. I know they come from a good source. If you're not sure, and if they've been exposed to things, even if they're organic, they've been on trucks and they've been overly exposed, then just take some water and add a few drops of food-grade hydrogen peroxide to the water, and just do a quick dip, and that'll do the trick. So you don't need to worry about washing each individual leaf, and don't spend a lot of time on that. It's just not worth it. Take them out. If you want to give them a little rinse with a few drops of hydrogen peroxide, done. Put through the juicer. I find that it still leaves a little bit behind, and I'm just kind of OCD about my juice being perfectly strained. So I do like to add the strainer to it. But otherwise, you're good to go. You just run it all through the juicer and give it a little strain and consume, and then give it a rinse. Give the juicer a rinse. When you have put all your vegetables through the juicer, just give it a little tilt like that, because there will be juice at the bottom of the pitcher here that you want to make sure you get out. That'll be the last of your juice. And then you want to always add a liner. This is a little pro trick. When you buy your juicer, it's just gonna this part is gonna come without the liner. Okay, this way, when your pulp comes out, you won't have to clean this container. You'll just pull this out, the liner, and it's gonna have all the pulp in it, and you just throw that away, or you'll compost it, or whatever you're gonna do. So you've tipped it, you've made sure that your liner is in, and then you want to juice it immediately. You want to clean it immediately after, because let's see, just a little bit of instruction here. So okay. So this part, you don't want this to collect a lot of residue. You want it to be as clean as the day you bought it. So if, as soon as you juice, you either soak it in hot water or you clean it immediately, you'll prevent anything from sticking and making it harder to clean afterward. It comes with a brush, so you want to brush all the way around and keep that filter clean. Okay, the sooner you clean it after you juice it, the easier that will be to maintain. So people who leave their juicers sitting after they juice, you see how easily it all comes together. That's why you want to have a juicer that's just really easy to use, because it's going to enable you to make it convenient, which convenience is going to enable you to do over the long term, and that's, doing things short term, it's never going to have it. It's going to only have a short term effect. So this is for years and years and years. And you might have to buy, depending on how much you juice, one every year or something, but I don't know. I can't really remember exactly how many I go through, but I know I've owned many in my lifetime. All right, but then of course, you know, I've done all this juice fast and all that too. You feel heavy, yes, exactly. It's too much. I mean, it is pre-masticated, so it's better than sitting down trying to eat all this. But it's not. We want the body was not. Even though we have a digestive tract, it was not designed to be digesting all day long. Even though we have a mouth, we're not supposed to be talking all day long. We're not supposed to be eating all day long. So we have these things to enable us to move through and experience everything in life, but we're overusing them. We shouldn't be having, you know, how do we most expeditiously extract the life force, get it into our bodies, and prevent it from remaining in and creating residue and waste matter? And that's what juicing enables us to do. It affords us that a huge transfusion of life force without the weight and the payout of our own resources and space in our bodies after. It's brilliant. It really is between the juicing and the colonicking. I mean, the combination is so powerful. Everyone would heal. So people often ask about the difference between maltol and xylitol and stevia. If there's a tol at the end of the word, it's an alcohol. So it's going to be slightly acidic. The degree to which it's acidic is, you know, determined by how it's prepared, made. But the tols mean it's acidic. So stevia is not acidic, and it's non-alcohol based. So that's important to know. It's exactly the amount you'd want to have. This is perfect for you.
And so quick and easy.
So quick and easy. I'm going to use a glass straw. It's very important to touch to have the glass straw. Just gets all that glass straw. Okay, voila. Santé.
Oh, I can smell the lemon and the ginger.